Yeah, this movie was bad. It was bad. They could have kept this.
Okay, like how was you feeling, bro? Feeling like a fool, right? Feel fantastic. Which one would you be though? Mr. Fantastic, cause the money like elastic. Every church I go, you smoke oregano. I'm smoking on the cat. I'ma be real, you know.
Yo, YouTube, I'm critiquing it, not stealing it. I'm talking about it. I know I don't own it. Please pretend that my channel is run by a white dude from Connecticut. Okay, thank you. Hey, before this starts, I'm just gonna let you know right now. I'm going to spoil this movie like milk in the July sun. Do not watch this if you don't want to know what happened. I'm going to spoil the new Avatar movie that got leaked online. Please leave. Please get out of here. I'm going to spoil it. It's going to be ruined. Go. Get out. Get out. Go. Now get. Go and get. Go and get. Get on get. The Legend of Lang The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender is a movie about Aang, the main character of the hit TV show Avatar, The Last Airbender. That movie was slated to release in early October right after my birthday in theaters, but Nickelodeon, Paramount, or whoever else elected to remove the release from theaters and hide the movie behind a Paramount Plus subscription, and what I assume is a plan to force people onto the platform. I have no evidence. I just don't trust millionaires. That aside, the complete movie ended up being leaked online a week ago at the time of recording this on April 21st, 2026, and a friend of a cousin of an ex-boyfriend of a co-worker's dog walker was playing it at their house, and I just so happened to see it, and God, I wish I had it. It just wasn't good. It wasn't horrible. It is the best Avatar movie we've ever gotten, but that bar is on the floor, and now having seen the movie and fully digested it, I would like to explore my utter disdain and disappointment for this film. But first, I need to have an important conversation with you. I get millions of views a month on multiple platforms, and those platforms do not pay me. They don't pay me at all. I haven't made a dollar here or on Insta. I've been fighting with these platforms for years, and they just refuse to pay me no matter what I do or how I do it. Because of this, I have moved the vast majority of my content to my Patreon so I can make a living and not labor on an app that refuses to pay me while stealing your data. So if you have any interest or the funds to do so, please consider joining my Patreon. It's $2 a month. I need 1,000 subscribers a month to make a livable wage. And between YouTube and my other socials, I have 500,000 followers. I just need 1% of those people following me to hop on. If you can't, that's totally fine. But if you can, please consider it. Thank you so much. Now back to the video. I want to start this off by talking about all of the things I enjoyed in this movie. I love the way this movie is animated. The animators really put their hearts and souls into this work, and it's so evident. The movie is gorgeous, the characters are beautifully drawn, and the fight choreography is amazing. I found the bending in the first book of The Legend of Kora to be a pale imitation of what the original gang displayed throughout their time in the original show. So seeing that return to form through a modern lens brought a real smile to my face. I also love seeing the old characters. I miss them. I'm going to be honest here. I'm a Kora hater. I have watched The Legend of Korra 3 different times, and I have criticisms, but what always irritated me about the fans that despise Korra is that many of their criticisms were just misogyny and homophobia gaslighting as conversation. I don't care that Korra is buff. That makes sense. I do care that the show was underwritten, poorly managed, and released improperly. I hate the dark Avatar plotline, and that will be relevant later, I guess. And what I'm trying to say is that I miss the old gang, and I was happy to see them again. But that's about where my compliments end. This movie didn't have one single original idea. Not one single solitary original idea. But to expound upon this idea that I have, I should give you proper context, and this is where the spoilers are about to begin. So, like I said earlier, if you don't want this movie spoiled, leave in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This movie begins with Aang having a nightmare about failing to save his people after running away, which, if you all remember, is a plot point that we saw back in 2006. After awaking from this dream, Aang returns to the Southern Air Temple after a trip that he took looking for airbender artifacts, where he is attacked by a group of non-benders called the Denied. Fighting ensues upon their meeting, and the tower in the temple Aang is in begins to fall apart after one of the Denied uses an explosive in an ancient structure. And herein lies my first 2 issues with the movie. The aforementioned introduction of a group of radical non-benders attacking an avatar for the imperceptible slight of living in a world that privileges benders, which we, again, never actually see come to fruition in any part of the franchise in any meaningful way, and the avatar state being used as a Super Saiyan transformation or power-up, both of which are complaints that I have levied against The Legend of Korra in the past. So if you want to see me talk about those, they're on the page somewhere, and I'll link them in the description. The avatar state was a power-up. It always has been. But said power-up was based on Aang accessing bending techniques and even the consciousnesses of the benders before him, the avatars before him. This movie does with the avatar state what Kora does with it. Uses it to make Aang bend harder. Aang can't lift a tower, Aang lets himself glow and bends harder, and the movie will continue this trend. And along with it, the trend of non-benders beefing with benders for building an unfair society, which we again never really see. Korra's entire first book fumbles this point, and one of my biggest criticisms of the show is that it could have been an interesting opportunity to play with the idea. Do you all remember when Kora joined the councilman's task force to root out the equalist meetups and they put non-benders under a curfew? That was an opportunity right there. Putting non-benders under a curfew is openly discriminatory. If the universe had built any sort of animosity between benders and non-benders, then open discrimination like this would have made the plot point more meaningful. It could have been used to spur a conversation about how discrimination like this pushes people further into extremism. More discrimination begets more equalists. The curfew could have made more people join. But The Legend of Korra didn't do that. Instead, The Legend of Korra portrays these actions to be almost necessary up until the point of the curfew. And that gets rectified almost immediately, so it has no lasting effect. And because there was no precedent for this discrimination in the first place, the entire subject which Book 1 hinges on falls flat. And here we are a decade later, and we are doing this again, but this time with Aang. And it still doesn't make any sense. We find out during the fight that the Denied are looking for a map inside of a small statue of an airbender named Sonam that Aang had recovered during his trip. And after they retrieve this map and Aang reunites with Katara, he is healed from his injuries and meditates to talk to past avatars to find out who Sonam is. Upon meeting an old past life of his, he learns about Sonam, who was an avatar and an airbender, and had a staff imbued with great spiritual power. Aang is then told the last known location of this avatar and travels there by night, hoping to find more answers and preempt the Denied's movements, while leaving a note for Katara asking her to gather the rest of the gang. Aang makes it to the aforementioned location, which is the peak of a mountain, and there he finds preserved in a ball of ice an ancient airbender. Does that sound familiar to any of you? Anybody at all? Does that sound familiar? Upon unleashing this airbender, the peak of the mountain begins to fall apart, and Aang has to escape while carrying this airbender. And while saving him, Aang has his second instance of getting your glow on and bending harder. The gang then arrives at the nick of time to save Aang and the mystery bender, and after escaping to an undisclosed location. The mystery bender, who I will now refer to as Taga because that's his name and he introduces himself soon, awakens and freaks out at the sight of Toph earthbending. He then reveals that the air nomads were being attacked by the newly formed Earth Kingdom 5,000 years prior, and we again bump into another foregone plot point. The air nomads being attacked by a nation in some sort of conquest. Now, this is not a one-to-one of the air nomad genocide the Fire Nation enacted during Aang's original time, but these events are similar, and they do get compared to each other directly by Taga later in the film. After this, Taga also shares that the staff Sonam possesses has the ability to give people the power of bending, specifically non-benders. It becomes clear to Aang and the others that the Denied want to give themselves the power to bend, and they depart to the place where the staff is buried, an ancient airbending utopia sitting atop a series of islands, in hopes to stop the Denied and potentially bring back airbending to the world by unlocking it in people, which again is a thing that Kora's part of the franchise covered. How much of this movie is just Kora all over again? I'm sorry. At this point, you may be noticing a trend of this movie rehashing old plot points, and that's my biggest issue with it. This movie has nothing new to save at any point in its duration, and this will continue. The gang reaches the islands after the Denied attack the airship, and the gang almost goes down after the airship is struck by lightning within the storm systems surrounding the islands. Aang at the time was clearing tornadoes out of the sky in order to clear a path for the ship, while being goaded by Taga to not check on his friends and to trust in them. Upon clearing the storm system, an argument between the gang and Aang ensues, where Aang's obsession with rebuilding air nomad culture comes to light. Aang demands they press on after everyone insists they turn back. They move forward, and after making it through the final storm, Aang departs to find the staff while the others stay behind to make repairs. At this moment, Taga, who Katara has distrusted from early on, drops his mask and attempts to do away with the gang while Aang is preoccupied elsewhere. A fight breaks out, and to the movie's credit, the fight is gorgeous, and everyone is subdued by Taga. Taga then meets up with Aang, attacks him, seemingly kills him, and seizes the staff for himself. Taga then leaves and finds the Denied outside of the storm system having no way to get through, and gives them all bending, and then elects to attack Republic City under the assumption that Gang has been defeated. We then learn that the water in the surrounding area where Gang was defeated is spiritually charged, and Katara was able to use it to bring everyone back from the brink of death, which again has happened already with the magic spring water that she used on Aang at the end of book 2. We did this already. I'm sorry. My bad. Aang, while unconscious, was finally able to see Avatar Sonam, who tells Aang the full story. Sonam sealed Taga in the ice because he stole the staff in an attempt to make more airbenders to make an army to destroy the Earth Kingdom after watching a bunch of air nomad peacekeepers be wiped out by the Earth Kingdom forces. He was the sole survivor of the attack, making him even more like Aang, and also introducing the idea of air nomad peacekeepers, which, you guessed it folks, happened in Kora. I wonder what other dead horse this movie will dig up and beat next. Taga mortally wounded Sonam before she sealed him away, and she dispersed the remaining airbenders and then sealed her staff away before succumbing to her wounds as the airbenders attempt to escape the city as the Earth Kingdom tries to attack it. Aang, after coming to, has a heart-to-heart with the group, apologizes, and after they all resolve to stop Taga, they realize they are stranded with no airship and no Appa because Taga stole him, which upsets me on two fronts. One, because Appa being stolen is again another retread, and two, Appa didn't fight back when Taga took him despite Taga attacking Aang right in front of Appa. And we all know Appa would never do that. Appa fought the sandbenders that stole him up until they held him down and tied him up. The idea that he would just go along with Taga infuriates me and sort of portrays Appa as an animal that does whatever people tell him to do and not a thinking, feeling being with agency. But that's its own can of worms. Aang then meditates in order to summon the ocean spirit, who apparently can just materialize anywhere, and has it make a portal for gang to travel back to Republic City through. The gang breaks off to fight the Denied because the Denied is already at the city, because Taga opens up a portal and brings the entire temple on top of Republic City. And Aang goes off to face Taga individually. Taga absorbs a bunch of spirit energy from the staff and turns into a giant purple monster. Wait, no, not that one. This one. And he and Aang fight for the staff. Aang gets his glow on, bends harder again, and gets control of the staff. And guess what Aang does? Absorbs a bunch of energy in order to turn into a giant blue avatar to fight the evil purple ghost man. Aang wins, struggles with his own rage, breaks the staff, and the temple disappears. The Denied lose their bending, and Taga evaporates for some reason. Then we skip forward in time, and the city is being fully repaired. The gang is gearing up to go on an adventure to find more air nomad artifacts, and a bunch of people, including one of the old Denied members, is joining the group, as Aang announces that he has now started the Air Acolytes, the group of people in Kora who devoted themselves to living the way the air nomads do in order to preserve the culture. And the movie ends. This movie, at every conceivable turn, refused to pursue an original thought. We had giant spirit avatar battles, an airbender preserved in ice, non-benders getting bending, a zealot/radical using airbending to murder people, air nomad peacekeepers, the returning guilt of Aang running away and not saving his people, and non-benders feeling oppressed by benders. And the movie did the same things that Kora did with them. Nothing. No movement, no lasting change, no permanent consequence. Nothing. The only thing this movie did was make me question why Katara didn't reach out to Kora when harmonic convergence brought back airbending, since apparently that has happened before, and a thing that she directly went through. The movie had nothing new to say. Aang died at 65 years old. Avatar: The Last Airbender ended when he was 13. The writers had 52 years to fill with interesting stories, and they decided to do Korra again, but with Aang this time, and honestly, I hate them for that. But I also can't blame them. Korra happened years ago, and it retcons so much about these characters in the world. We had to have the lion turtles that taught everyone bending, because Korra introduced Avatar 1 and that concept. We had to bring back the air acolytes, because they existed in Korra. The new airbenders had to lose their bending, because harmonic convergence is supposed to be the event that brings airbending back. There was never any room for change. We had a fixed point with already drawn conclusions that we had to get to. A 52-year gap and absolutely no room to breathe. The story could never go anywhere, and its consequences could never last. This is a movie soaked in nostalgia, where the story just doesn't matter. Aang and Taga have an interesting interplay within their parallels, both of them being the last airbenders of their time, preserved in ice and narrowly escaping a genocide. Their differences lie in how they dealt with that trauma. Aang was able to come to terms with his loss, make new friends, create a family, reconciled with his old enemy and now friend Zuko, and build Republic City. Taga got none of that. Taga lost his life and his people just to awaken to a world where a new avatar, who was an air nomad just like him, failed to save their people in the same way he felt Sonam was going to. Taga got no closure. There was a moment where Taga and Aang were talking on the airship, and they were on their way to the islands, and Taga asked Aang how he can even stand being near Zuko after what the Fire Nation did. Aang explains the ways in which Zuko changed and even stood against his own family to do the right thing. Two men with similar trauma came to different conclusions and did different things with their anger at the groups of people who harmed them. There was so much there to interface with, but the movie never went there. The movie didn't have time to. I honestly might have liked this better if it was a season of TV, but that's not what we got. Nothing felt like it had the room to breathe, and the characters suffer from it. The Denied spent almost no time in this movie. They start things off, but they are soon relegated to a B plot by a movie that hinged on their action. They simply don't matter. Their wants, their needs, their own backstories are treated like an afterthought. There was a moment in the final confrontation where the Denied are fighting Zuko, and Zuko asks him to stop and says he's trying to fix things, and one of the Denied yells at him that it's rich coming from a guy sitting on a throne built by a century of war, which would have been an amazing commentary if the movie had jack shit to do with any of the aftermath of the war or the dynamics of the people affected by it. But to do that, the Denied would have had to remain the focal point of the movie, and they didn't. They were immediately replaced by and absorbed by Togga's plot. And at the end, it didn't matter. Togga evaporated. The temple evaporated. The non-benders lost their bending. And everyone went back to normal. Kora has to happen, so nothing in this movie can last. And what we got was the Sparks Notes version of books 1 through 3 of Kora. This movie almost feels like the team decided they were gonna do Kora's story, but this time better and with the old gang, as if the root cause of Kora's issues were Kora herself and not the plot she was written into. The ideas in Kora were just bad, and the show was handled poorly due to the company treating the property horribly. Making the plot shorter and replacing the newer characters with the original gang while filling the movie with nostalgia bait would never fix that. Having Toph yell, "I am still the greatest earthbender in the world" multiple times would never fix what was wrong before. The movie rejects every new and interesting opportunity to make itself beholden to the worst parts of what came before, just to sputter out into nothingness because of the following plot and the ways in which it had to happen because it was written a decade before this movie. It's almost like what Dragon Ball Daima did with GT. It's just Akira Toriyama's take on what he would have done with GT. Not necessarily better, just there. And in many ways, just as meaningless as the transformations don't continue. We never see another Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, and we never see Goku go Super Saiyan 4 again, because those things didn't happen in Super. A good way to summarize this movie is, what if Aang was in The Legend of Korra instead? And I hate that for everyone involved. I mean, the title isn't even interesting. It's literally the two shows smushed together. I wanted more from this film, and I got a glorious, shiny, glowing, beautifully animated, well choreographed, and corporately mishandled mess. I hope Nickelodeon learns from this. I hope they learn to put Avatar: The Last Airbender down, to stop doing stuff with and to it, because to be frank, they haven't been able to catch lightning in a bottle twice, and they sure as hell can't redirect it. But yeah, tell me what you think. Am I onto something here, or am I just an angry old man screaming at cartoons? Let me know in the comments. If you like me, feel free to leave a like or subscribe to the channel for more if you feel so inclined. And thank you so much for watching this. See you later. Bye. Peace.